everybody. It's Safi and Marco. Dish out on the movies.
Speak up towards the camera, Safi.
But tonight we're not doing a movie. We're doing the last 2 episodes of Masterchef Junior Season 8. The first one was like a blooper episode and lots of little insights about the contestants, like at life at home and what they did on the set and mistakes that were made and jokes that were played on the kids or on the judges themselves, all kinds of different little things. And then the last episode was the finale.
The joke episode was a huge waste of time. Like, we spent, this was a quote-unquote 2-hour finale, but really it was a 1-hour joke and then 1 hour of trash. And so I really wish that, like, it's funny because at first these reviews for MasterChef Junior didn't get any views, but then all of a sudden they have like a lot of views. And so, like, we have to keep doing them. And that's unfortunate since we have so many other things to watch and review. Like, I didn't even know or realize that Beavis and Butthead came out today. And so I have to watch that. And I have to watch 3 episodes of something else. So we could have been doing a lot of things, and instead we chose to watch this.
Yeah.
Including this joke episode. And not only was it a huge waste of time, but it was also, it hardly had any footage of the kids. Or most of the footage was either stuff we've already seen before, or the judges, Aaron and Gordon, and they're acting like these cringeworthy hosts of like a telethon. You know, they're acting like they're trying to emulate Joe Bob and doing like a really bad impression of him, and you know, they're just so lame, and their jokes and it was like watching the Oscars. It was just so lame and forced, and it's like, you know, what boomer wrote this script? And so that was trash. Most of the stuff they showed in the episode, there were a couple of good things, like they showed the auditions, and they showed some of the footage of the kids at home. Like, they showed Gummy Worm Molly at home for like 2 seconds, of course, because they don't respect Gummy Worm Molly as much as they respect someone who cooks the same dishes every day. And wink wink. And then we have a lot of the footage in the episode was surprisingly of the slob, and I think they liked the slob a lot more than we thought, and it's really too bad the slob wasn't in the finale. Safi.
He was there though, right? Watching him. No, most all the kids were there. The last, what would you call it, 10 contestants or something, that were there cheering on the 2 finalists. But I guess he wasn't there, but most everybody else was.
And they even showed him flirting with Gordon's daughter.
They showed the whole thing.
And they showed, it was just really not worth it. Safi.
Well,
and then there were there were a lot of clips of Mafia Don just being the same old Mafia Don.
And he really pissed people off.
I know.
I think they showed that more in this blooper episode than they did during the season.
Yeah.
Because they kept it pretty laid back, and the kids just kind of let him, even though they talked, when he would join the team, they would say, oh, he's on the team, he's so out of control, we're going to have to really watch him. And then they'd be very cautious and quiet, and they might get angry, but it was pretty low key. But here, they showed a lot more, I thought, anger at him. And trying to tell him to, well, I can't say that, but to stop. And what he's doing is wrong, but whatever. It happened. He was there. He screwed up a lot of people's, he screwed up the season.
And then they showed, like, all these quote-unquote top 10 bloopers, which were pretty dumb. Like, they're really not worth it.
They're mostly about Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, they're mostly about good old Gordon and, you know, himself. A lot about Aaron, too. They did this really weird thing where they played a prank on him and they gave him a apron with Krabby written on it, which was really gay.
That was for Gordon.
Because, like, then Aaron and Daphne, they were... Did you see how hard they were laughing at that joke?
Yeah.
That was... It just shows, like... There's... Like... You know, they probably think fucking, they probably think the MCU movies are really funny, too. Like, you know, that was pretty funny. And then there were a couple other things. It isn't worth to talk about. Like, the most embarrassing, the number one blooper, I think, was something that we had already seen in an episode, right, Safi? Didn't we already see him?
I don't know.
I thought we already saw him break that egg.
I must have missed it, because I didn't see that, and I didn't see him eat a habanero pepper.
I think we saw him do the egg, though. I remember it. Like, and so the number one blooper was Gordon dropping an ostrich egg. Oh no! And it's like, so what? Like, just. I give this episode an F minus. It was just it was meaningless. It's like what this was not necessary. It was a complete waste of time.
I'll give it a C.
Really?
Well, it reminded me.
You watch it again?
No, it reminded me of the Super Bowl commercial episode. You know, they show this every year around the Super Bowl. The 10 or 20 best Super Bowl commercials of all times, and they'll talk about the ones that get an honorable mention. Actually, those are a lot more meaningful because those are real commercials about real products.
And they spend a lot of time making those commercials.
Well, they spend a lot of money, not just to make them, but to be able to put them on, to buy the airtime. Probably one of the most costly times to ever put on a commercial is the Super Bowl. Anyway, aside from that's what reminded me of. I gave it a C because I thought they were just trying to do something extra. I don't know why they felt they needed to drag it out another episode.
Yeah.
Because really,
that's why I give it an F minus, because it shouldn't have been an episode.
Well,
That's why.
There was a reason behind it, but I just don't know what it is. And I hope it was a good reason, because I'd give it a lower grade if I thought it was for some stupid thing, some stupid point. It was pretty, the season was pretty bad, like we have talked about over and over, and I don't know if that has something to do with it. They're trying to lighten the character behind it.
Well, yeah, the structure was all over the place, because most of the season they did team challenges.
Yeah.
And most of the season Mafia Dom was there. And then there was that episode where the epilepsy girl got sent home. So the season was just such a shitty ride. And then when Mafia Dom finally went home after all those other people were sacrificed so that he could stay there and ruin things for more episodes, it felt like there was a huge relief. But after that, it was like, okay, what's left?
Yeah, and who's left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
An underwhelming group of people who, let's just be honest, Safi, they wouldn't be able to stand up against the top 5 in season 3 or season 2. And so we were left with like this underwhelming, and that was another issue just in general, was the fact that all the kids were not competitive at all.
No.
And in fact, the finalists, they were hugging each other in the finale. And you have to think, like, maybe if they weren't hugging each other and kissing each other and shit, maybe they could have, been spending more time, like, competing and, focusing on themselves. Because honestly, like, Mafia Don, he wouldn't have given her a hug.
No.
He would have been like, yeah, fuck yeah, bitch. I'm number 2. I'm gonna be number 1. He would have made like another turd bar, and like honestly, he would have been better to see in the finale than actually no.
No. Not.
I'm
At
thinking
all.
in terms of the fact that he would have competed.
Oh.
These kids, for some reason, they're just not competitive. They're unicorn kids, and they just don't like competing. They like each other too much, and it's not interesting to watch. It's not fun to watch, and it makes things even worse when the fact that the people who win don't deserve to win. So then we get to the finale, and already the finale sucks because these chefs are apparently so inept that they can't cook an appetizer.
They won't let them cook an appetizer.
Yeah, they won't. The judges won't let them. Not only that,
Now, I think they could have cooked one.
but they get an hour for each dish. So they had an hour to cook an entree and an hour to cook a dessert. In all the other seasons, they have an hour to cook all 3 dishes.
Right.
And that's another sad thing, is that, once again, the judges make them cook 3 separate plates.
Mm-hmm.
A completely unnecessary, irritating addition to the show.
But they did.
And it just completely is not worth it. So you have Grayson, and we've really thought of him as like a Kevin from Home Alone. Like he's like a little genius kid.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
And
He is a genius kid. I think he's a phenom. And the fact is, it's almost kind of like he's preparing for a, what's those exams for those real hard classes that get you into college. That you don't have to take certain courses if you take this exam in high school, and then you pass it. It keeps you out honors courses.
He
just
experiments
reminded
a
me.
lot.
He
And
does. I mean, they show him with the counter at home. It was covered in dishes.
yeah, he does a lot of stuff.
He does.
And he takes a lot of risks. He has a lot of fun with what he's doing, even though he's cooking shitty sushi foo-foo food. And so he's pretty cool. And honestly, he really stuck out in the finale as being really, really cool.
Yeah,
Like-
because he's a kid. He's what, 10 or 11?
Yeah,
And he is cooking like one of these adult chefs.
he was impressive.
Yes, he was. And she's cooking what they cook in the restaurant.
Yeah, well, on the flip side, we have Leah. And she's very nice, and
She's a good person. I'm not saying anything bad about her. She's a good person. It's not fair.
yeah, it's totally unfair.
Totally different.
So
And
you-
they even said it.
Yeah.
They said it was two different approaches.
They said that he's the experimenter and she's the traditionalist, and it's like, yeah, like that like I don't think playing it safe means you're a traditionalist.
And they have gotten after so many people, adults and children
Yeah.
alike, for quote playing it safe.
And yet they never, ever, ever criticized her the entire fucking season for playing it safe.
Nope.
Even though literally every single episode, that's all she does is play it safe. And I can't stand it because last episode, my fair Masterchef Junior got sent home for 1 out of the 3 dishes being undercooked. But then you had Leah, and her food was just the same shit she makes every fucking week. And the dish that she cooked for the entree in the finale, it was literally a dish off of her fucking restaurant menu. And I thought that's ridiculous and just so unfair. The fact that like she could just make something off of her restaurant's menu, and then the judges are like, yeah, this is amazing, she's pushing boundaries. And then you have Grayson, and they literally said that he cooked the hardest protein on the planet, which is venison loin, because it has no fat on it at all. He cooked the hardest protein on the planet.
And it was cooked perfectly.
But somehow she still ends up getting the trophy over him. And that's how you can tell that there's a bias, because they admitted the fact that he cooked the hardest one, and all she did was cook a duck breast.
Yeah.
And sorry, but they said in comparison to the venison one, duck breast is easy. And so she cooked a very, typical dish. It was completely just not fun to watch because we knew, they're going to give it to her, of course, because, And then came the dessert. And Grayson made a very strange dessert.
It was a sushi foo-foo dessert.
It was a dessert that the judges would like. And that's the funny thing, is that all Grayson did was follow their example.
Right.
All he did was follow their lead of what they have liked the entire season. They like that pretentious sushi foo-foo shit. In fact, in season 3 finale, what happens is there's this one guy, and he cooks this really home-style Italian food. And then there's this other guy, and he cooks really sushi foo-foo, pretentious food. He even says in the fucking episode, like, my menu is better because it's more complicated in things. And then they gave it to him, and it felt like they just gave it to him because they thought, oh, that's just superior food because it's French food, and French food is harder to cook than Italian. And so they have like a bias for pretentious sushi foo-foo food.
Yeah.
And yet when Grayson makes this really pretentious dessert, they acted like he didn't do anything. Like they acted like hers was just so much better. And literally all hers was like a bargain bin mystery box dessert. Like, I could picture anyone making that dessert for a mystery box challenge. It was like a panna cotta with passion fruit and a
pudding.
Tapioca. Like, wasn't that like a bargain bin mystery box dessert that she could have made?
I don't know, and she had it over
That wasn't a finale
freezing
dish.
ice.
Dry ice.
Dried ice. And so you had this little smoky cold underneath it. And then you had the her pudding.
Well, you
which
have
is
to
basically
admit,
what it was.
you have to admit, Safi, that wasn't a finale dish.
I don't know.
Neither of her dishes were finale dishes. Both his dishes were finale dishes.
All I know is we're going to have a MasterChef adult show finale sometime in the near future. And I doubt if any of those people could make what Grayson made.
I know. That's another thing.
And Leah, actually.
And her too.
Because even if she just cooked her own Chinese food, her family's Chinese food all the time, she still, I don't know, I just don't, she still worked really hard and was really creative and strong and not afraid. And
but is it creative to just make something that...
No, but I mean,
No.
It's not, she accomplishes or can accomplish much more than those adults on that MasterChef show.
Well, I don't care. I give this episode an F-. Because...
I'll still say a C, even though we talked about a lot of different things.
It was just so obvious that they were going to give it to her. Like, it seemed like it was like a no competition. Safi?
What?
Oh, now you're going to go to sleep during
I
the
know,
review
I'm
again?
sorry. I keep passing out. I just, it just kind of, I found that a little irritating. I like the little girl, but I have one feeling is that the very first season of MasterChef, they had a very smart boy who cooked tons. I mean, he said this. He cooked like 6 out of the 7 days a week, constantly for his family. And he liked to try all kinds of different things. And he was very smart. And then you had Dara, who is on the latest MasterChef adult show right now. And she cooked what Leah cooked. And that was, she cooked family Chinese food. And
played it safe every episode.
Played it safe every episode. And who won? Well, it was the boy.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I think this might have contributed to it, even if it's in a small way, that the judges didn't want to not award Leah because they felt it would look too similar. In other words, what is this? Every time an Asian girl gets on and is up against, I don't know, a regular guy, that she's going to lose, you know. And I think it was, I think some of it, the reasoning for not having her as win, or they let her win, was because of Yara, because of the first season. What happened there? They couldn't let that happen again because it would look like they were maybe discriminating against Asians or something. I don't know. But that's what I thought. It made me feel like that.
So that's what we thought of the finale. Like, it was just so obvious what was going to happen. Nothing felt like, oh, maybe that person will win. It was like, no, the whole episode we thought, of course she's going to win, of course she's going to win. Because, you know, even though she played it safe again. And she played it safe in the biggest way possible. Like in the last episode, she played it ultra safe, made something she makes all the time. And this episode, she did the same thing. But it was even worse, because it's the finale. And the fact that we're in the finale and they can't even call her out for doing that, it's just kind of sickening, because I guarantee there'll be a chef in the future who does the same thing, and they'll call him out for it. So anyways, Safi, what should people do?
They should like the video if they liked it, and comment about the show. Did they see it? What do they think of the whole season? What do they think of the winner? What do you think that the blooper episode was helpful? Was it good? Was it necessary? Just anything that you would like to contribute and say, because like as a response to the things that we talked about all along. And it would be nice to hear somebody else's opinion about, if you agreed with us or just what you thought. I'd just be curious.
Well, my opinion was he destroyed her.
Yeah, he really outdid her a lot. She cooked what they cook in the restaurant, but probably her whole life. And he is out there experimenting with all kinds of different flavors and textures and types and cultures, and that's, to me, that's very grown up and very smart. It's not just, let's just cook dumplings. We cooked that last week in the restaurant, didn't we?
Yeah, that's what she did. She did the scallion pancakes, which she said that her and her mom had put that on the menu before.
Yeah. So it's nothing against her personally. She's a good person. She was always supportive of other people. And I'm just saying that they gave her one. I really believe that, because I think it's a makeup for, they didn't want to look like, oh, well, every time an Asian girl's on, she's never going to win because she's going to be up against somebody like a Grayson or an Alexander who's kind of a phenom in terms of cooking. And
they didn't have to bring Grayson to the finale either.
No.
Like I thought that my fair Masterchef Junior could go.
That's right.
Or the epilepsy girl, or the slob. Wouldn't that have been funny to see the slob in the finale?
I don't know. He wouldn't have made it, hon.
Yeah, he would.
No.
Safi, the slob, reigns supreme.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
He was a little immature.
And he hooked up with Gordon's daughter.
I can't believe they showed that whole thing again in its entirety.
You can tell that they really liked that. Like, they thought that was a highlight of the season.
At least one of them. The highlight of the season was something really negative, so it wasn't.
Well, that's not a highlight. That's highlight is something that's good. So
in this case, it wasn't good.
No, that's not a real thing. A highlight is good stuff in the.
I suppose, but the way I look at it, it can be something bad too. So.
But that wasn't a highlight.
So here we are. We're still discussing it, but we'll leave you to do that for us. So make a comment. We'd love to hear from you.
And you will be joining me to review seasons 4 and on.
So we'll be back with more reviews. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.